Begin this hour with the story of a 23-year-old young woman from Bridgeport, Connecticut, who died. She was healthy, but then was found dead.
No one is going to discard Lauren Smithfield's my daughter as she's rubbish.
In Bridgeport, Connecticut, a 23-year-old woman is found dead in her apartment. The night before her tragic death, this young woman had been on a date at her apartment with a 37-year-old man she met on a dating app. One of the things she asked him to bring was a bottle of tequila, which was later found to contain harmful substances that ultimately led to her untimely death.
Life is not the same. I don't know who I'm gonna be after this. It's killing me inside. I miss my baby.
This heartbreaking story of Lauren Smithfield's death, one of the most shocking and disturbing cases, leaving many questions unanswered and her loved ones searching for justice.
Without a doubt, we know that my daughter was not a drug user, and I had a second autopsy myself, paid out of pocket, because we felt so uncomfortable with the way it was handled.
Lauren Smith Fields entered the world on January 23, 1998, in Bridgeport, Connecticut, as the daughter of Chantel Fields and Everett Smith. From her earliest years, Lauren was known for her intelligence and determination, earning the deep affection of her family. She was raised in a nurturing household supported by her three brothers, Kyle Fields, Lakeem Jeter, and Tavar Gray. This strong family bond played a significant role in molding Lauren into the compassionate and motivated individual she became. Lauren was a bright student who was well liked by her teachers and friends. She started at Still Meadow Elementary School and then moved on to Rippewam Middle School in Stamford. She did well in her classes and made many friends because she was friendly and easy to talk to. Lauren was always full of energy and loved to help others. When she reached high school, her skills and interests became even clearer. She joined the National Honor Society because of her good grades. She also became a part of the Black Student Union to learn more about her culture, and it is from this that Lauren developed another passion. From a young age, Lauren had love for nice things and a fancy lifestyle. She developed a passion for travel and embraced a lavish way of living.
I'm literally sweating, and I'm not doing anything.
A quick scroll through her Instagram, you'll see her jetting between countries, driven purely by her love of adventure and enjoyment. So, at age 23, Lauren tried online dating and made a profile on Bumble, a popular app with over 50 million users. Most people on the app are 25 to 34 years old, and a small number are 55 to 64. Now, on December 8, 2021, she matched with Matthew LaFontaine, a 37-year-old man from Bridgeport, Connecticut, and they liked each other instantly because they both enjoyed traveling, trying new foods, and spending time with family. Their shared love of traveling was alleged to be the main reason they connected so quickly during their time talking on the app. In fact, Lauren had been in countries like London and Italy, among others, before meeting her tragic death. Her date partner Matthew also seemed to share this passion. In this viral photo of him, he's seen wearing what looks like a hiking backpack, which further shows how much they both loved adventures and seeing the world. Lauren Smith Fields was excited about starting a new relationship with Matthew LaFontaine, who seemed like a nice and respectful man. In fact, Lauren called her brother very excited in a call that ended abruptly. She was happy to meet him in person for the first time and see what could happen between them. Sadly, she did not know that their Bumble date would be the last time she went anywhere, or the last time her family would see her alive. On the night of December 11, 2021, 23-year-old Lauren met up with 37-year-old Matthew for their date at this apartment in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And that same night was the last time her mother had heard from her. She sent messages and made phone calls, but there was no reply. Feeling worried, she decided to go to her daughter's apartment, hoping that everything was fine. When she got there, she found a note on the door that read, "If you are looking for Lauren, please call this number." The number was written on the note. With a heavy heart, she calls the number, fearing the worst. That's when she receives the terrible news: her daughter is dead. The person on the line told her that a detective would come to see her soon.
They say the detective promised to come by the apartment.
Never showed up.
The family says the relationship with police devolved from there.
However, she waits for what feels like a very long time. When she finally calls again, hoping for more information, they tell her to stop calling and abruptly hang up, leaving her in shock and deep pain. Do you know who was on the other end of the call? It was Lauren's landlord. This landlord had been called by the police to provide a statement after someone reported a dead young woman in one of her apartments, and the person who called police was 37-year-old Matthew LaFontaine, Lauren's last date partner. In his statement, LaFontaine recalled that he chatted with Lauren on a dating app and that they agreed to meet in the evening at her apartment around 9:30 p.m. He explained that Lauren had asked him for $40 to cover the cost of getting her nails done and invited him to bring a bottle of tequila, which he agreed to do. Once there, they drank the tequila, played games, ate snacks, and eventually relaxed to watch a movie together for a while. However, as the night went on, the mood shifted and things began to spiral in a disturbing and unexpected direction. She suddenly said she needed to go to the bathroom, where LaFontaine could hear her getting sick. After a while, she went outside, saying she needed to grab something from her brother. When she came back, she went straight to the bathroom again for about 10 to 15 minutes before finally returning to watch the movie. LaFontaine said he thought this was strange, but he didn't feel it was right to ask her about it, since they had only just met. As the movie went on, Smith Fields fell asleep. LaFontaine said he gently picked her up and took her to the bedroom, where he lay down next to her, with him sleeping on the other side of the bed. A few hours later, around 3 a.m., he got up to use the bathroom and heard her snoring, a sound that made him feel reassured that everything was okay. But by 6:30 a.m., everything changed. According to LaFontaine, he woke up to find her lying still and not breathing, with blood coming from her right nostril. In a panic, he called for help and dialed 911. The operator told him to do CPR as paramedics get dispatched. But even with his efforts, Lauren did not wake up. When the paramedics arrived, they said Lauren was dead at the scene, and the only thing they could do was to take the body away with them. Matthew was described as being in shock, visibly shaken and upset about what had happened. Later, the medical examiner said that Lauren had died from an accidental overdose from a mix of fentanyl, alcohol, and prescription drugs.
The FBI team obtained this police report of the response to a 911 call from Lauren's apartment on the morning of December 12th from a white male identified as Matthew LaFontaine. The investigator notes he was trembling and visibly shaken. LaFontaine said they met on the dating site Bumble, began drinking shots of tequila, and Lauren became ill. That later they played some games, ate some food, and started to watch a movie. He says he carried her to her bedroom and laid her in her bed. He then laid down next to her and fell asleep. He woke up again at approximately 0630 hours, and she was laying on her right side. Blood was coming out of her right nostril onto the bed, and she was not breathing.
After uncovering these details, police started questioning Matthew, but not in the aggressive or formal way that's typical for standard police interrogations for a case involving a death. Instead, they approached him gently and informally at first, perhaps to avoid intimidating him or making him defensive, while still gathering important information to piece together what happened that night. One might think that the fact Matthew denied having sex with her, while the investigation found otherwise, would make them suspect him in her death. However, the investigators showed little interest in that. But that wasn't the saddest part. Until then, Lauren's family had no idea what happened to their daughter, and the investigators didn't even bother to contact her family, and so this is the point when Lauren's mother came to look for her daughter at her apartment, finding a note left by landlord who she called and break the sad news to her, telling her that her daughter was dead and that she needed to wait for the police to arrive. So the mother waited, and no one came to clear the suspense and shock she had just been thrown into. So she goes back home, and together with Lauren's other brothers, they contacted the landlord again, who finally allowed them access into the apartment. And it is inside Lauren's family noticed things that the police had overlooked. Empty liquor cups, condom, tipped over plates, and a blood stain on the bed.
The family says they provided evidence they'd collected to crime scene investigators who arrived for the first time that day, included a bloody sheet and a pill.
And 2 cups of like drinks or whatever next to a bottle. They didn't take none of that. We seen a condom, we seen lube, other stuff in there, and they didn't take none of this.
All things that seemed to be ignored as if they were not important. Weeks later, while the family was cleaning out the apartment, they found a used condom and a pill in the trash, clear evidence that the police had completely ignored. These items were obvious clues that investigators hadn't bothered to collect or document, even though they could have been critical to understanding what happened. Lauren's family was angry and heartbroken by the medical examiner's report. They felt the police had rushed the investigation and failed to dig deeper into Matthew LaFountain's role, even though he was the last person to see Lauren alive. They believed the police didn't take her death seriously enough, treating it like a minor case instead of a tragic loss. The family decided to fight back. They started posting online, sharing their anger and disappointment with the Bridgeport. Lauren's second brother, Jeter, shared what happened on the night of December 11th when he called her to bring out his basket of clothes he was picking up. He said he didn't know anyone else was there. She came out and stayed outside for about 10 to 15 minutes before going back inside. He said she looked fine. She didn't look sick, tired, or drunk. He also said that unlike what LaFont claimed, her nails had already been done and didn't need to be done again, especially not for her funeral.
They didn't even contact us. They didn't let us know anything. It's like crazy. And I'm asking him what's going on. He said she met some guy on Bumble. And I'm asking him about the guy. He was like, oh, he sounds like a really nice guy. He sounds like a really good guy. And he was like, I'll call you back, and just hung up in my face.
Now, Lauren's mother had to plan her own daughter's funeral just days before Christmas. It was obvious how much pain and sadness this caused her. The family also chose to sue the police department, claiming they did not conduct a proper investigation and that their civil rights were violated.
The whole day goes by, no police reach out to the family at all.
Her close-knit family says they went to the apartment the next day after frantically calling and texting Lauren and were referred to a Detective Cronin. They say the detective promised to come by the apartment.
Never showed up.
The family says the relationship with police devolved from there. No contact from December 13th until December 29th. They returned to the apartment to clear out Lauren's belongings and claim a new detective came by to say he'd taken over the case from Detective Cronin.
The detective said he effed up, he messed up, he effed Cronin, he messed up, he didn't know what he was doing, he messed up the case.
The family says they provided evidence they'd collected to crime scene investigators who arrived for the first time that day. Sources close to the investigation tell the I-Team the Matthew LaFountain pictured in this social media photo, now removed, was the man at Lauren's apartment. A neighbor at his listed address in Milford confirmed LaFountain's identity, but we were unable to reach the 37-year-old who has not been accused of any wrongdoing. LaFountain's same image appeared under the name Matthew Thomas, now also taken down.
Anyone that genuinely cared and they were there, the last person there, and they know that nothing bad happened, you would at least even reach out to the family yourself. Like, listen, I know I'm sorry for your loss of your daughter or your sister.
The family's last contact with police was on January 4th at headquarters with their attorney.
What I believe is that the police failed to collect and preserve that environment from the first day.
The attorney has now filed a notice of claim to sue Bridgeport for negligence, claiming key evidence was not initially submitted to the state lab.
I feel like because he's a white guy and she's a black girl, it's just almost like they just thrown it under the rug.
That night she was silenced, so now we are her voice. Right. But we're here. And we're fighting for her.
So, to help their fight for justice, the Smithfields family launched a GoFundMe campaign to raise money for hiring a private investigator. They understood the path forward would be tough because they didn't trust the official investigation, but they refused to give up until they found out what really happened to Lauren.
Now, Smithfield's family have taken the initial steps to sue the city of Bridgeport and the police department. They allege that the Bridgeport Police Department failed to implement the proper crime scene investigation team to collect physical evidence, and that the city has failed to intervene.
Their lawyer, Darnell Crossland, stated that cases of missing white women often receive more attention and resources than those of black women.
The family says the man is the last known person to see Lauren alive. Police say he's not a suspect or a person of interest, and that they do not suspect foul play.
We want all the people of Bridgeport to be treated fairly and equally under the law. That didn't happen here, and everyone listening to the story needs to know that Lauren Smith Fields wasn't given the treatment that she should have been given.
The family felt overlooked and disrespected throughout the entire process, but they were not alone. This case got a lot of attention, so much that even celebrities like Cardi B wanted to speak out about the unfair treatment this family faced. After learning about Smithfield's death, Cardi B took to Twitter on January 23, 2022 with a strong message. She was upset about how the media was showing the situation, making it seem like Smithfields was with an older man. Cardi B tweeted, "Nah, this man doesn't look old." And yet the media made it seem like she was with an old man looking to take advantage of her, criticizing the wrong story, and pointing out Connecticut's failure to act. Her strong words helped get the Bridgeport Police Department to reopen the investigation, which had first been treated as an accidental overdose in fact. Family lawyer Darnell Crossland said that it was Cardi's involvement that made the police finally take the case seriously. The family was very thankful for Cardi's support, knowing that her public statements were important in getting attention for the case and fighting for justice. Mayor Joe Ganim of Bridgeport, Connecticut, had to take action against two police officers, Angel Llanos and Kevin Cronin, by suspending them without pay. This was because they botched the investigations into the deaths of Lauren Smith Fields.
Developing tonight, two detectives suspended for their handling of the investigation into the death of Lauren Smith Fields. She's the college student from Bridgeport, Connecticut, who died after going on a date with someone she met on a dating app. For weeks, her family has questioned how the department has handled her investigation. And tonight, the mayor is blasting the probe and putting two officers on leave. And there are new questions about another woman who died under similar circumstances. News 4's Anjali Hemphill is in the newsroom with the major new developments tonight.
Gilma, tonight, the Bridgeport mayor made a public apology to the two victims' families and said both cases have now been reassigned to other members of the police department.
Once again, express my condolences to the families of Lauren Smith Fields and of Brenda Lee Rawls. And I want you to know that I am extremely disappointed with the leadership of the Bridgeport Police Department and have found the actions taken up to this point with regard to these two investigations unacceptable. After viewing these matters even more closely, and in the absence of the police chief, I've directed the deputy chief, Chief Baraha, to immediately put on administrative leave the two officers who are the subject of the Bridgeport Police Internal Affairs investigation for lack of sensitivity to the public, for failure to follow police policy in the handling of these two matters. So to be clear, effective immediately, both Detective Llanos and Detective Cronin are suspended from duties and put on administrative leave until such time as the Office of OIA has finished their investigation and disciplinary cases have been completed. In addition, the supervising officer who was in charge of overseeing these matters, has retired from the department this past Friday.
The community, family, and friends still wanted to know what happened that night, and so set up public marches and demonstrations to remember Lauren and keep pressure on the authorities. On what would have been her 24th birthday, they held a march in Bridgeport.
Couple weeks, many have called the investigation into the cause of death of Lauren Smith Fields as mishandled and unprofessional. Demonstrators gathered to demand further action by city officials as well as justice for Lauren on what would have been her 24th birthday. Jose Jorge was there.
On January 23, 2022, a group of more than 300 people gathered outside of Bridgeport Police Headquarters to demand justice for Lauren Smith Fields, as they believe the investigation into Lauren's death left several unanswered questions.
One of the questions? Well, Lauren's family says Bridgeport police didn't consider the man that last saw her alive as a suspect because they say police told them he seemed like a nice guy.
If his family didn't want to serve in the police department, would he be a nice guy? We're going to make him famous too. We're going to make the nice guy famous.
Lauren was reported deceased in her Bridgeport apartment by the man she met 3 days earlier on a dating app. Along with concerns on how the man allegedly was left unquestioned, Lauren's family is also calling out the Bridgeport Police Department due to unprofessionalism they experienced, as they were not notified of Lauren's death until 2 days later.
So, on what would have been her 24th birthday, the group of family, friends, and supporters began to walk from the Bridgeport Police Headquarters and ended at the plaza of the Margaret Morton Government Center.
The family didn't stop there. They worked for a new law called Lauren's Law, which would require police to tell a deceased person's family within 24 hours of identifying them. This law aims to help prevent other families from feeling the same pain and confusion that Lauren's family went through. Lauren Smith Fields' family is still searching for justice.
Always be her voice.
That's right.
Talk that talk. No one is going to discard my daughter like she's rubbish. She's not rubbish. She had a life. She had a business. She was in college.
Talk about it.
Family and friends that love her. No one is going to discard Lauren Smith Fields, my daughter, as she's rubbish.
They want the world to remember Lauren and to fight for a system that treats everyone with the respect and care they should have. Their journey isn't finished, but they are focused on keeping Lauren's memory alive and making the changes needed to help protect others. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Our condolences go out to Lauren Smith Fields.